This video is unofficially brought to you by Modelo. Please sponsor me, Modelo. Please. Just like, come on, a 6-pack a week from the local stores. Come on. So right now it's 2025, and every year there are 3 MilSim West events in California. I am going to rank them, personal preference, I'm going to rank them bronze, silver, and gold, and then I will list the reasons why and give my opinions and blah, 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 blah. This one's going to hurt a lot of feelings, but the Insurgency is my bronze tier. It's my third place. Oh my God, but it's so fun. All right, hey, all right, hear me out. First of all, the Insurgency was my introduction into MilSim West. I forget which exact one it was, the Azeri occupation maybe? But my first MilSim West was the first year they introduced the Father Gregory storyline in the Victorville place. They hold this in Victorville, George Air Force Base, that old bombed out housing place area full of asbestos and just danger. Traditionally, they've had this around the end of April or the beginning of May. I think it just kind of depends on what their other events are doing. This gets around, I would say the Insurgency's average like 400 or 500 players, somewhere in there. In my opinion, this is currently, as of May of 2025, this is the most new player-friendly MilSim West event they have anywhere in their universe, in their Rolodex of really fun events. The Insurgency at Victorville is the most new player-friendly one they have. If you've got someone who wants to dip their toe into MilSim West events, take them to the Insurgency, because it's the easiest way to introduce them to the continuous 40-hour format instead of just throwing them into a force-on-force. If you're a first-timer, I highly recommend going civilian over NATO Rust 4, because as a civilian, you can dictate your own schedule instead of doing like the organized platoon patrol thing. You basically do whatever you want, and I think that's the easiest way to introduce a new player as far as the format. Also, Insurgency seems to be the easiest way to introduce MilSim West to those that have never played Airsoft before. Usually we'll get a decent amount of those at the Insurgency, because the folks that are bringing them know, like, you can go at your own pace. You can literally just stay in your little business or house or whatever the entire weekend and just not go anywhere. Or you can go out and try and immerse yourself to some degree in the storyline, go find trouble, make friends, do whatever you want. It's a big old party. I also think that going NATO Rust 4 uniformed over civilian is a wasted experience because of not only how unique this format is, but in California, 2 out of the 3 MilSim West events they host are force events anyway. And they do another one at Victorville. So I don't understand, unless you're just like a diehard uniform NATO Rust 4 dude, that's cool. But for me, if you're not going civilian at Insurgency, you're honestly wasting an experience, because as of right now, this is the only Insurgency that they do anywhere. There are whispers that next January or February, Muncie, Indiana is going to turn into an Insurgency. But those are whispers. They haven't dropped the tickets officially. There's no official word on that. That's what they want to do. We just got to wait and see. Insurgencies are a bronze medal for me because I personally love the force events a little bit more. I like the organization. I like the platoon dynamics of MilSim West events. But this could also be a Victorville thing. Maybe it's just because like I'm just kind of burned out on Victorville. So this very well may change. If I do like a broader event video and rank them, maybe the Muncie Insurgency is going to be their best event. I don't know. But right now, as far as California MilSim West events go, Insurgency is the bronze, that gets the bronze medal. Silver medal goes to the Victorville force-on-force that they have every October. This gets around, I would estimate 600 to 700, maybe more, maybe less, kind of depend on what the economy's doing. I put this over the Insurgency because I do love the force-on-force events more, and more of my friends get flown out as cadre, because this gets, like, you need so many cadre for all the different platoons they have. So currently my favorite homie experience is Corey as company commander and then Cole with a platoon sergeant. And then usually they'll have me PL or squad leader, do whatever. But like hanging out with Cole and Corey every October is like one of the big things I look forward to with my year. One of the downsides for any Victorville event are just the shitheads that show up. Some will say they're Southern California specific players. Maybe I don't really have a way to prove that with numbers or analytics. But because Victorville is about 6 hours from Northern California and about 2 to 3 hours from Southern California, it just gets so many players throughout the area. And some of those players maybe think it's a good idea to, oh, I don't know, set fires or, just dumb stuff. That's a Victorville specific thing. The fire thing actually happened in the Insurgency, but Victorville is going to get stupid people. I'm sure maybe Lion Claws experiences this, or anyone else that is, or DFE probably experiences this also. Look, you're just going to get some shitheads at Victorville. It just comes with the territory. I think the buildings make for some pretty sweet, like block by block style of CQB. Everyone's like, oh, it's a CQB field. Yeah, kinda. Not CQB in the sense of like Project N1 or like CQB City, but like building by building by building and little sections, like little neighborhoods taking them over. I think that's pretty cool. I really enjoy that style. Yeah, Victorville is bombed out, but whatever. It's what we get in California. We're not going to get anything much nicer. I am going to make a bold statement and say that the Victorville Milsim West Force on Force every October is the Super Bowl of California airsoft events, if not on the West Coast. Now, I would love someone to challenge me on this one, because that just seems to be the biggest one they get with the most engagements, the most fun. Just seems to be the best thing that happens on the West Coast for airsoft. Personal opinion. Throw your rebuttals at me, kids. Let's see what we got. I think it's more of a practical, new player-friendly event versus the Insurgency. The one drawback to the Insurgency is that since it's only just one event in the whole country, maybe they'll get two events, it's not really going to match up or prepare you to what the other events are, like any of the other Force events. So a Victorville Force event, I think, is the best representation to a new player of what Milsim West is, because it's the Force event style of that 40-hour continuous event. The weather is always beautiful. It hasn't rained in the last 4 to 5 years in October. I don't even think it's ever rained at an Insurgency. I just think we always miss it every year. But since the weather's good, that means you don't have to bring as much gear, which means your pack doesn't have to be as heavy, which means the ruck in is going to be easier. That's the other thing. Sometimes the Victorville Force events don't ruck in. We just kind of casually pick up our crap, go onto the field or onto the AO somewhere for the safety brief and our initial con-op brief, and we just walk another 100 yards maybe to the fob, drop gear, and go to our first hit point, and then we go from there. But like as far as like this grueling ruck march in, Victorville doesn't always get those. Plus, even if we did, AO's not that big, and it's all flat, mostly paved terrain, unless you go off like way off to the side by, I think it's Phantom Road or whatever, in that little no man's land area, which is still pretty like walk friendly. So that's why I think it's the most friendly Milsim West event that they have. It probably gets the best consistent weather. Sometimes the Insurgency can get a little warm. Kharkiv can get a little rainy and a little chilly, but Victorville in October has always been rain-free. Gets about mid to high 70s at most, and maybe like mid to high 40s at night. I don't even bring my sleeping bag anymore. I'll throw my whoopee in my ruck, and maybe I'll take my bivy bag, and that will be, and obviously my sleeping pad. But I stopped taking sleeping bags to Victorville Force events just because it's not, you don't need it. Like, you could sleep in your clothes and you'll be totally fine. Just depends on how comfortable you want to be. There it is, my gold standard for Milsim West events in California. It's the Kharkiv lore of events. It's at Hill 559, which is kind of in the Fresno area. It's usually sometime every February and gets about 400-ish players. Obviously, everyone knows this got the gold once you found out the other two, and there's only 3 events, so bing, bang, boom, math. 100% my favorite event for the weather and the layout. Sometimes it will rain, and I absolutely love Kharkiv or Hill 559 when it rains. I love backpacking in the rain. I love rain things. It gets way cooler, and it's just like a nice, chill vibe to hang out and do things with. This event kind of looks like a Warhammer tabletop game because it's so easy to maneuver your company-sized elements throughout the field, and it kind of looks more like a Civil War reenactment because the field is basically a big green pasture with rolling hills. It's just hilly enough to be a challenge, but not so much that it'll break dudes off that are in some kind of shape. I've seen dudes come out with no physical fitness, nothing, horribly overweight, packed 30 pounds of extra gear they didn't need. They're toting in like a 70-pound rucksack, and they get broken off in the first few hundred yards. That has nothing to do with the AO. That just has to do more with their inability to properly prepare. I can't say enough good things about Hill 559 and their the Kharkiv event Milsim West does, and the Operation Frostbite. I'm a big fan of events at Hill 559. So I always try to make them. I have plenty of videos. There's plenty of YouTube videos out there. This is more challenging than any of the Victorville events because it's not flat concrete with predictable dry weather. You do kind of have to try a little bit. There's a little bit more of a backpacking aspect involved because of the terrain and the weather. It'll usually get about high 30s, low 40s Fahrenheit at night. I still don't bring my sleeping bag, but I'll sleep in my rain gear, so my rain jacket, my rain pants. I'll bring my whoopee, and I'll bring my bivy bag. So it's the same sleep setup that I will use for Victorville. I'll just sleep in more clothes, and I'm fine. I did it this year in the most recent February event they did. I was just fine. You can dig foxholes, but you have to bury them on a Sunday because you just can't leave open holes in the dirt because there are small little packs of bovine, like small groups of cows roaming around, and I assume if they fall into a foxhole, it hurts. This is also the only California Milsim West event where you can throw pyro because, again, Victorville is just a tinderbox made out of asbestos and toxins. So Hill 559 is open terrain. There's no building. There's like some metal structures, but not really buildings. And because of the time of year, usually everything is pretty well wet/damp. So you can throw pyro and not necessarily have to worry about a big fire sparking off. And I assume because of the cows that are there, the grass really doesn't get that tall. So maybe the tallest I've ever seen the grass there would be ankle, like high ankle, low shin height, but nowhere near like walking around in knee-high grass. I've never experienced that. Imagine about 50 dudes online marching up a hill with about 4 or 5 different big color smokes going off, maybe like 3-4 dudes shooting off blank fire rounds, guys throwing pyro up and down hills, and it's just, if you can picture that in your head and go, man, that looks really cool. Imagine seeing that in person. There's some decent footage online about all the different Kharkiv. You can YouTube them, but dude, it's so cool to see that stuff, especially compared to when you consider that you don't get this really anywhere else on this scale, this level, this frequency and consistency. You don't really get that for anywhere else on the West Coast other than Milsim West events. I will give an honorable mention to Centerville, Washington. I'm giving that AO and that event a try for the first time in a couple weeks. And while it's not in California, a decent amount of Californians do go to that. So there will probably have about 300 total-ish players this year. But this year specifically, it's the 60-hour format because it's Memorial Day weekend. So it starts Friday and it ends Monday instead of Sunday. So I'm pretty stoked for that.